Leash walking should be thought of as a partnership. If you think of it as walking in concert with your dog and not as a rigid exercise, it will be less stressful for both you and your dog. The purpose of dog walks is for your dog to relieve themselves, to do lots of sniffing, which is required for their overall mental health and mental stimulation, also, if possible, to socialize with some dogs and people, and leash walking is a great opportunity to get some training accomplished. The equipment you walk your dog on can make all the difference in how well the walks are executed. We suggest using a sturdy and well-fitted harness that either clips to the front of the dog or on the back. The harness will provide evenly distributed body weight for your dog, and it's more secure than just a collar. Additionally, the harness will keep the pressure off the dog's neck, which can lead to behavior issues and physical injuries. A collar makes a great handle and a place for ID, but for walking, we strongly recommend a harness. Leash mechanics are something that humans should consider. It is unnatural for dogs to walk on leash, and much like learning to use a tennis racket, you should take some time and consider how the leash is being held and how to maneuver it while walking your dog. Think of the leash as if it were gears on a car. You control the length of it, and it should be let out for freedom as it is earned for good loose leash behavior. When you need your dog's leash to be short, walk up and fold the leash so it's shorter, and intrinsically the dog will have less freedom, thus teaching the dog that when we shorten the leash, they must earn freedom for walking on a nice, loose leash. Also, this walk-up will allow you to get your dog on your side more easily, creating a heel position with minimal effort. Here's how to create a sequence that teaches the dog to have better manners on leash. As your dog smells something, shorten the leash. This avoids the dog taking off like a rocket when they finish. If you do this consistently, your dog will figure out the sequence of sniff, walk up, shorten the leash, release, and then the leash is let out for loose leash walking as they earn it. In a matter of a few weeks, maybe even a few days, your dog will discover that a loose leash equals freedom and a short leash means loss of freedom. Be consistent, and you should see a change in behavior very soon. The walk-up is also a great idea when your dog has tuned you out, the leash is tight, and they're way out in front, you can't get their attention, and you need to get your dog back by your side. Simply walk up, fold the leash, ask for a sit, and then continue. Dogs pull, and it's usually towards a smell. By allowing the dog to pull, you teach the dog that pulling works. When your dog pulls, stop. Then ask for your dog's attention. You can use a prompt such as a kissy sound, or use the leave it cue, the look cue, or the touch cue. As soon as the dog does the behavior you asked for, allow the dog to move forward. As long as the leash is staying slack, you can continue. If the dog keeps pulling, stop. You'll have to do the start-stop method in a way that feels comfortable for you and your dog, as each dog and each handler are different. If you're consistent with this, dogs figure out that pulling equals stopping and a loose leash equals motion. The devil is in the details here, so be patient. Remember that dogs are usually pulling towards something, so use that smell as a reward after you get a behavior you've asked for. Some places and some days may be more enticing, thus more distracting for your dog, so be aware of that and adjust accordingly. Your dog is basically a nose with 4 legs, so be patient and understanding. You'll most likely need to do a combination of start-stop, prompting, and the leash walk-up, depending on your dog's distraction level, their reward consequence history for leash walking, and your mechanics. Use a combination of the ideas we've detailed, and as long as it's creating a positive association and keeps the dog focused, you're on the right path. The idea that your dog should always walk by your side came from military dog training. Pet dogs are not military dogs, they're companion dogs, and their main job on a walk is to sniff and go to the bathroom. As long as you have trained your dog to be attentive on walks, allow them to walk on a loose leash and smell. However, it is a good idea to teach your dog to walk by your side when you need them to. This is especially helpful when you need to get your dog through crowded areas or perhaps when you're passing people or other dogs. Here's an introduction in how to teach heel. Number 1, make sure your dog is hungry, as you'll be using food to motivate your dog to walk by your side. Number 2, lure your dog to the side you're comfortable with. Number 3, Pay your dog for walking by your side every 3 to 4 steps. Number 4. Make sure you pay at your pants seam, not out in front of you. This way the dog gets paid for walking next to you. As your dog gets good at walking by your side, you can stretch out the number of steps you're paying for. Pay for steps for a few minutes on each walk to train heel, or when you need your dog to be by your side. Also, notice when your dog is walking by your side and pay them for that as well. Once you're getting good results with paying for steps and your dog is walking by your side more frequently, add a word such as heel or with me as a cue so your dog will know when you need them to be by your side. We've already addressed teaching your dog the cues for look, leave it, and touch. Please refer to that portion of the DVD if you need to. All 3 of these cues, look, leave it, and touch, are a great way to get your dog's attention while out on a walk. Instead of saying your dog's name over and over again, struggling and yanking on your dog's leash, ask for a touch to get them over to you. If they're investigating something on the ground and you'd like them to disengage, ask for a leave it. The look cue is a great way to ask for your dog's attention when you need them to look away from something such as another dog or a cat in the distance. Practice these when your dog is not distracted, so when your dog is distracted, they'll be much more likely to tune into you. It's a very good idea to ask your dog to sit and wait at all street crossings. This teaches dogs not to dart out into streets, and it's a great way to teach sit and wait. In addition, when you're faced with a blind corner, ask your dog for a sit and a wait to avoid suddenly running into oncoming foot traffic or other dogs. This provides for a safer walk and teaches dogs impulse control.
Okay.
Most dogs react at something at some point. It may be a skateboard, kids running. It could be other dogs. It may be due to fear, frustration, or excitability. No matter the reason, you want your dog to focus on you and make a positive association to whatever the stimulus is. The 2 main things to realize about reactivity is that number 1, you want as much distance from the thing that is making your dog react, and number 2, you want as short a duration as possible. However, many times you cannot control the distance or the duration of things that make your dog react when you're out on a walk. The first aspect you'll need to work on is practicing situational awareness. If you know your dog has a penchant for reactivity, you're probably already doing this. The second thing to realize is that no matter if your dog is fearful or frustrated, you want to create a positive association to the thing that will make your dog react.
Keisha, leave it? Yes, good girl. So good. That's very nice.
There are quite a few variables in working with reactive dogs. Some things to consider are how many times has the dog rehearsed reacting? Have you been scolding or punishing your dog for reacting, thus creating a negative association? If you've been reprimanding your dog for reacting at dogs or kids or skateboards or cars, etc., stop doing it, as it will only make it worse. Here is a brief protocol for creating a positive association to things that make your dog react and how to get your dog to focus on you. Number 1, walk a hungry dog. This provides motivation to focus on you. Number 2, carry high-value foods such as chicken or steak or a favorite treat that you only use for leash reactivity. Keep it novel and keep it exciting. Number 3, practice situational awareness so you're ready to train when you notice the oncoming stimuli that makes your dog react. Number 4, manage out of situations that you know will be too intense for your dog to handle. We don't want the dog to rehearse the reactivity as it will only make it stronger. Number 5, the nanosecond your dog notices the thing that makes him react, but has not reacted yet, say yes and treat. Keep the foods flowing as long as the stimulus is in view. As soon as the stimulus is out of sight, the high-value foods go away. If done consistently, this will start to predict to your dog that skateboards, cars, dogs, etc. predict high-value foods. In time, your dog should jump the reward marker and look back at you for food. When this happens, you now have a dog that has learned that these things that once predicted no reward now predict great food. Management of reactivity is something that is very important, as there will be times when you cannot train or counter-condition your dog because the approaching stimulus is moving too fast or maybe too intense. In these cases, use food to lure your dog away and get as much distance as possible. or go behind a barrier such as a car or trees. This will help avoid the rehearsal of reactivity. It's better to avoid reactivity than rehearse it. It's perfectly okay to manage out of reactive situations. Anything can happen while walking your dog. The dance of leash walking is one that is a partnership. You'll have challenges and distractions at any given moment, so make sure you practice situational awareness and work your dog while walking. Stay engaged in the walk and practice your training cues. This will make all the difference between a successful walk and a stressful walk. Be engaging on the dog walk. Use luring, prompting, and lots of jolly verbal feedback to keep your dog's focus. This keeps the dog's attention on you. Avoid jerking the leash and harsh reprimands, as this can cause injury, behavioral issues, as well as make your dog tune you out. There are many variables while out on a leash walk, but as long as you're dedicated, organized, and gentle, you should have an easier time walking your dog.